She wants to do something local. You have hunger here in Portland and you have homelessness here in Portland. So you need to address that issue in your own backyard before you join Amnesty International or anybody else. Go out and look in your community at what's to do and do it in your community, because before you can work globally, you must work locally.
We have a question here that I think demonstrates the rapport that has been established here this afternoon between the presenters and the audience, because I have a question for Adolfo and for Betty, and that to me represents respect and also a sense of relationship. First of all, Adolfo, specifically, what did you do that resulted in your imprisonment, and what were the results which moved toward peace?
Y lo que hice, lo que estamos haciendo aquí, denunciando las injusticias.
What I did was just what we're doing here this afternoon, to denounce injustice.
Cuando uno veía que secuestraban niños, que los vendían, los regalaban, cuando uno veía que torturaban, asesinaban, sufrimos la prisión, las torturas, los vuelos de la muerte. Y yo sobreviví gracias a la solidaridad internacional. Soy uno de los sobrevivientes. Y también Amnesty International me adoptó como prisionero de conciencia.
I simply denounced what was happening, the kinds of injustice that we were seeing all around us. When we see that children were being kidnapped, they were being sold and given away. I was among the kidnapped. I was among the persons who disappeared in Argentina. I suffered the death flights, but I'm one of the lucky ones. I'm one of the people who survived, and I survived thanks to international solidarity. I was adopted by Amnesty International as a prisoner of conscience.
For Betty, what did you do that caught the attention of the Nobel Committee? What was the name of your PR firm?
Actually, I think what happened to us, I sometimes think that the peace movement in Ireland was born in media silly season. It was kind of August and there wasn't a lot going on, you know. And here come these two women. What a marvelous story, you know. They referred to us as ordinary housewives. Yeah. Now that really made me angry. Because I've never met an ordinary housewife, have you? And then they referred to us as the petticoat brigade. You know, that would let you know the intellect of the media is way up. You know? I think what caught their attention was, you know, when I go anywhere to speak, I'm very conscious that you don't see the women standing behind me and beside me. But there were hundreds of thousands of them on the streets of Belfast. It was hard not to notice us, you know. Our first rally drew 10,000 women, the second 36,000, the third 50,000, up until our final rally in Trafalgar Square, which we had 250,000 women at that rally. And I remember standing beside Joan Baez. You know the name Joan Baez? Well, I love Joan, and I love dropping her name because she's a friend of mine. Yes. Anyway, Joan was standing beside me on the platform in Trafalgar Square, and I remember looking at her, and I want you to listen carefully to what I'm going to say. There were 250,000 people in Trafalgar Square, and I turned to Joan and I said, we'll be very lucky if we end up with 10 workers for peace. There is a difference between rallying and actually working for peace. The transition from up there to down here was very difficult. But I guess maybe the Nobel Committee noticed all the women. I don't know, because they're all, you can't see them, but they're all here.
I have a question for Dr. Schultz. What personal experience led you to be a part of Amnesty?
My connections with these issues go way back, as Bob Musil's do as well, to the civil rights and anti-Vietnam War era. When I was 19 years old, considering being a Unitarian Universalist minister, I was asked to serve as the minister of a little tiny church in a little tiny town called Kent, Ohio. And it was at the very same time as the Kent State killings. And that incident, I was 19, maybe 20 years old, that incident reinforced for me the idea that any government can turn on its own citizens. Any government, even that which wears proudly its democratic stripes. And I suppose that that incident has always stayed with me through the years of my service as a parish minister and then as president of the Unitarian Universalist Congregations of North America. Unitarian Universalism, as those of you who are familiar with it may know, is a religious movement committed to social justice in all its forms, to a global fealty, a global loyalty, a sense that we are all citizens not of our own countries alone, but of the world. And therefore, when my term as president of the Unitarian Universalist Association was completed in 1993, Amnesty was looking for an executive director who knew a little something about social justice, global affairs, and moreover, raising money. And it was a very nice match, and I'm pleased to say it's remained so until through today.
Thank you.